My name is William Brennan, but most people call me Grandpa Will. I'm 73 years old, and on what should have been a night of peace and tradition, Christmas carols by candlelight, something precious slipped away without a sound. We were singing, laughing, standing shoulder to shoulder. That's when I felt it. The slightest brush against my hand. So light I almost ignored it. By the final verse, Grandma's ring was gone. No one panicked. No one searched. Except me. Because a few hours later, while everyone slept, I saw it. A photo posted online. That same ring, on my niece's hand, captioned like a trophy. I didn't accuse her. I didn't confront the family. I did something much quieter. I made a call, filled out a report, and waited. Because lies travel fast, but paperwork travels farther. By Boxing Day, celebrations were canceled, engagement plans vanished, and a single receipt, printed and undeniable, connected every dot she thought she'd erased. I'm going to tell you what she did, how a moment of greed during Christmas songs unraveled everything she was building. But before I begin, let me ask you this. Where are you watching from today? To everyone who's been stolen from and told to stay quiet, thank you for being here. And if this is your first time on the channel, subscribe and turn on notifications. This is where patience exposes the truth. Now, let me tell you what that ring really revealed. I want you to picture St. Mark's Episcopal on Christmas Eve. Small stone church, been standing in our town since 1892. The kind of place where 3 generations of your family got married, baptized, buried. My grandmother Eleanor married my grandfather there in 1943, 2 weeks before he shipped out to Europe. He never came back. But that ring did. Gold band, thick enough for a man's finger, with 3 small diamonds set in a row. Not flashy, not modern, just solid, honest gold that had survived a war, a widow's grief, and 70 years of family history. My mother wore it on a chain around her neck her entire life. When she was dying, lung cancer 2019, she took it off, pressed it into my palm, and said, "William, this stays in the family. Promise me." I promised, so yes, I wore it. Every day, on my right ring finger. I'm a widower now. Nora left me 3 years ago, said I was emotionally unavailable, whatever that means, so that ring was the only thing that made me feel connected to something lasting, something that mattered before everything fell apart. Christmas Eve, I drove to St. Mark's alone. My son Ryan lives in Boston now, barely calls except on birthdays. My daughter Leah's in Seattle with her husband Nathan and their kids, too far to fly in for just one service. So it was me, walking into that church at 6:45 p.m., smelling the pine wreaths and candle wax, nodding at familiar faces I've known for 50 years. And then I saw Stella, my niece, my late brother's daughter, 28 years old, blonde, bright-smiled, the kind of girl who posts everything online, brunch photos, gym selfies, engagement announcements. She'd gotten engaged 3 months earlier to Adrian, some finance guy from the city with perfect teeth and a firm handshake. I didn't trust him, but that's not my place to say. "Uncle Will!" Stella threw her arms around me right there in the vestibule. She smelled like expensive perfume and peppermint. "I'm so glad you're here. Adrian's parking the car. Come sit with us." I should have said no. Should have sat in my usual spot, 3rd pew from the back, alone like always. But she looked so happy, and I've been so goddamn lonely since Nora left, and maybe I thought sitting with family on Christmas would make the ache less sharp. So I sat with them. Stella on my right, Adrian on her right. The service started. Readings, hymns, the pastor's homily about light in darkness. Standard Christmas Eve fare. We stood for Silent Night, and Stella linked her arm through mine, swaying gently as we sang. That's when she touched my hand. "Uncle Will, your hands are freezing," she whispered. She took my right hand in both of hers, rubbing it like she was trying to warm me up. Her hands were soft, warm. I remember thinking it was sweet, a kind gesture. We kept singing. The candles flickered. 200 voices filled that little stone church with something that felt, for just a moment, like peace. When the song ended, Stella let go of my hand and smiled at me. We sat down. The pastor gave the benediction. People started filing out, shaking hands, wishing each other Merry Christmas. I didn't notice it was gone. Not in the church, not in the parking lot, not when I hugged Stella goodbye and she said, "Love you, Uncle Will. Merry Christmas." Not when I drove home through the quiet streets, streetlights casting shadows on fresh snow. I noticed when I poured myself a whiskey. I was standing in my kitchen, small, outdated, still decorated the way Nora left it, and I looked down at my right hand to set the glass on the counter. The ring was gone. My heart stopped. I checked my other hand, my pockets, retraced my steps to the front door. Nothing. I tore apart the living room, checked under couch cushions, moved furniture. I went back outside in my slippers, searched the car with a flashlight, under seats, in the glove box, in the trunk. Nothing. I called the church. Voicemail. Left a message asking if anyone had found a gold ring. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in the dark, staring at my empty finger, feeling like I'd broken the only promise that still mattered. Grandma's ring was gone, and I had no idea where to even start looking. For 3 days, I searched. Christmas morning, I drove back to St. Mark's and walked every inch of that church. Pews, aisles, vestibule, parking lot. Pastor Riley helped me look. We found nothing. I filed a lost item report with the church office. I posted in the town Facebook group. Lost, gold ring with 3 small diamonds, sentimental value, reward if found. I got sympathy comments, some shares, but no leads. I called Stella on Christmas afternoon. "Hey, sweetie, did you happen to see a ring at church? Gold band, 3 diamonds? I think I lost it during the service." "Oh no, Uncle Will. That was Grandma's, right?" Her voice sounded genuinely concerned. "I didn't see anything. Let me ask Adrian. Babe, did you see Uncle Will's ring?" "No, he didn't. I'm so sorry. Do you want us to go back and look?" No, I said. "I already checked. Just thought I'd ask." "I'll keep my eyes open," she promised. "Love you." "Love you too." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? On December 26th, Boxing Day, as my British grandmother used to call it, I was sitting in my living room at 9 p.m., scrolling through my phone, torturing myself by looking at old photos of my mother wearing that ring. That's when I saw the notification. Stella Morrison posted a photo. I almost scrolled past it, but something made me click. The photo was from Christmas Day. Stella and Adrian in front of a decorated tree, champagne glasses raised, both grinning. Stella's left hand was extended toward the camera, showing off her engagement ring, a large diamond solitaire I'd seen 100 times. But on her right hand, on her ring finger, was another ring. Gold band. 3 small diamonds. I stopped breathing. I zoomed in on the photo. The resolution was good, one of those newer iPhones. I could see every detail. The slightly worn edge of the band. The way the middle diamond caught the light. The specific setting my grandfather had chosen in 1943. There was no question. That was my ring. The caption read, "Merry Christmas to us. So blessed to celebrate with family heirlooms and champagne. Yik engaged. Chiutak family first. Heirloom jewelry. Itigu blessed beyond measure. Family heirloom. My family heirloom." I read the caption 3 times. Then I went back and looked at the photo again, just to make absolutely sure I wasn't losing my mind. But no, that was Grandma Eleanor's ring, on Stella's finger, posted online like a goddamn trophy. My first instinct was to call her immediately. Scream into the phone, "Where did you get that ring?" But something stopped me. Maybe it was the caption. Family heirloom. Like she'd always had it. Like it was hers to wear. I went back through her Instagram. Scrolled through the past week. December 24th, 11:47 p.m. A photo of her and Adrian leaving St. Mark's after the carol service. Her hands weren't visible. December 25th, 8:32 a.m., Christmas morning coffee, both hands wrapped around a mug. No rings visible except her engagement ring. December 25th, 6:18 p.m. The photo with the champagne. My ring on her finger. So, somewhere between Christmas morning and Christmas evening, she'd put it on. I called her, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Hey Stella, saw your Christmas photo. Beautiful. Quick question, what's that ring on your right hand?" No response. I waited an hour. Texted again. "Just curious about the ring in your photo. Looks familiar." Nothing. I didn't sleep that night either. I sat in the dark, refreshing her Instagram, watching as she posted more stories, champagne toasts, breakfast the next morning, a video of her and Adrian ice skating. In every single frame where her right hand was visible, there it was. Grandma's ring. By December 27th, she still hadn't responded to my texts or calls, but she'd posted 4 more times. Each time, the ring was there, catching the light, sitting on her finger like it had always belonged there. That's when I made my first call. Not to Stella, not to Adrian, not to the family. I called my insurance company. "Hi, my name is William Brennan," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I need to file a claim. I've lost a ring that belonged to my late mother. Sentimental and monetary value. It went missing on Christmas Eve." The agent was sympathetic, professional. She asked for details, description, estimated value, when and where it was lost. I told her everything, except the part about seeing it on my niece's finger, because I was about to teach Stella something my grandmother taught me a long time ago. Patience always wins. The insurance claim moved slowly. Paperwork, appraisals, questions about when I'd last seen it, where I'd been, whether I'd checked with local pawnshops. I answered everything carefully, honestly. I had lost the ring. I just hadn't mentioned that I knew exactly where it was. While I waited, I watched. Stella kept posting. New Year's Eve, champagne and sequins, the ring glittering under party lights. January 2nd, brunch with Adrian's parents, her right hand strategically positioned next to her mimosa. January 5th, a close-up shot captioned, "Mixing Old and New," showing both her engagement ring and Grandma's ring side by side. Each post felt like a slap, but I didn't comment. Didn't like, didn't acknowledge. I just screenshotted everything and saved it in a folder on my desktop labeled Christmas 2024. My friend Nathan, retired detective, known him 40 years, called me on January 3rd. "Will, you doing okay? Haven't heard from you since before Christmas." "Actually, Nathan, I need advice. Off the record." There was a pause. "What kind of advice?" I told him. "Not everything, but enough. The ring going missing during carols. Seeing it on Stella's Instagram. The insurance claim." "Jesus, Will." Nathan's voice went flat. "You think she took it?" "I know she did. I just can't prove it." "What do you want to do?" "I want to know if she pawned it first, before she started wearing it. Because if she did, there'll be a paper trail." Nathan was quiet for a long moment. Pawnshops keep records, ID, signatures, item descriptions. But they won't just show you without cause. "What if I walk in and ask if they've seen it? Show them a photo?" "They might. Depends on the shop. Depends on who's working." He paused. "Will, be careful. If you're right about this, family's gonna implode." "Family imploded when she stole from me," I said. I started calling pawnshops on January 4th. There are 7 in our county. I worked through them methodically, calling each one, describing the ring, asking if anyone had brought it in between December 24th and 27th. The first 3 said no. The 4th hung up on me. The 5th said they don't give out customer information. The 6th, Riley's estate buyers downtown on Maple Street, said, "Can you come in? Easier to check in person." I drove there that afternoon. Riley's was the kind of place that's been there forever. Dusty windows, bars on the door, a bell that jingled when you walked in. Behind the counter was a man in his 50s, thick-necked, tired eyes, forearms covered in faded tattoos. "Help you?" he asked. "I called earlier, about a ring." I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo of my mother wearing it. Gold band, 3 small diamonds, family heirloom. It went missing right before Christmas. I'm trying to figure out if someone might have brought it in. He looked at the photo, looked at me. Then he turned to his computer and started typing. I held my breath. "Yeah," he said after a moment. "Someone brought this in." My heart slammed against my ribs. When? December 27th. The day after Christmas, the day after I'd filed the insurance claim. "Can you tell me who?" Riley hesitated. "I shouldn't." I pulled out my wallet, took out $200 bills and set them on the counter. "I'm not a cop. I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just need to know." He looked at the money, looked at me again. Something in my face must have told him this wasn't about anything small. He turned the computer screen toward me. Date: December 27th, 2024. Item: gold ring, men's style, 3 diamond accents. Seller: Stella Morrison. ID: driver's license, scanned copy attached. Amount paid: $900. There it was. Her name, her signature, her driver's license photo staring back at me from the screen. She'd pawned my grandmother's ring for $900. But then Riley said something that made my blood run cold. She came back the next day, December 28th, bought it back for $1,200. Said it was a mistake, that it belonged to her grandmother, that she'd panicked and needed quick cash for Christmas gifts. He shook his head, seemed real nervous, kept looking at her phone. I stared at the screen. "Do you have a receipt for both transactions?" "Yeah, you want copies?" "Please." Riley printed them out. 2 pieces of paper that told the whole story. Stella pawning the ring on the 27th for $900, then buying it back on the 28th for getting $200. A $300 mistake born out of desperation and greed. I folded the receipts carefully and put them in my coat pocket. "Thank you," I said. Riley looked at me with something like sympathy. "Family?" "Niece." He nodded slowly. "Good luck." I walked out of that pawn shop with the evidence I needed. Not just proof that Stella had stolen the ring, proof that she'd tried to profit from it, panicked, and then lied about its origins to everyone, including her fiancé. Now I just needed to decide what to do with it. Stop. Before I tell you what I did next, I need to know you're really with me, because the next chapter is where everything changes. It's where I stop being the victim and become something else. It's where I make a choice that will either make you respect me or question everything you thought you knew about revenge. Here's what I'm about to reveal in Chapter 4. How I used those receipts to corner Stella. The one person I called who destroyed her perfect life in 48 hours. The conversation that made Adrian walk away forever. And the moment Stella realized she'd lost everything. But I'm not posting Chapter 4 until this channel hits 500 subscribers. Why? Because this story deserves to be heard. And if you're here, invested in this, watching a 73-year-old man expose the truth about family betrayal, then you understand that some stories need witnesses. So here's what you need to do right now. 1. Subscribe. Hit that button. Turn on notifications. Don't miss what happens next. 2. Like this video. Let the algorithm know this story matters. 3. Comment below. Tell me, would you have confronted Stella immediately, or played the long game like I did? 4. Share this. Send it to someone who's been betrayed by family. They'll understand. Now let's dive into it. I didn't call Stella. I called Adrian, January 6th, 10 a.m. I texted him, "Adrian, it's William. Can we meet for lunch today? Just you and me. I want to talk about wedding plans." He responded within 5 minutes. "Sure, Mr. Brennan. Noon at Riverside Grill?" "Perfect. See you there." I arrived early, ordered coffee, sat in a booth by the window and waited. Adrian showed up at 12:05 wearing a suit, probably came from the office. He shook my hand, all confidence and white teeth. "Mr. Brennan, good to see you. How've you been?" "I've been thinking," I said, "about family, about legacy, about what we pass down." He smiled, settling into the booth. "That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about, too. Stella and I have been discussing the wedding, and we'd love for you to—" "Where did Stella tell you she got that ring?" I asked. The smile faltered. "What ring?" "The gold band with 3 diamonds. The one she's been wearing on her right hand since Christmas. The one she posted all over Instagram with the hashtag #FamilyHeirloom. Adrian shifted in his seat. "She said it was from your side of the family, that you'd given it to her as an engagement gift, something from her grandmother. Your mother, I think." "I never gave her anything," I said quietly. The waitress came by. We both ordered without looking at the menus. Neither of us was really there to eat. When she left, I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the 2 pawnshop receipts. I unfolded them carefully and slid them across the table. "This is from Riley's estate buyers, December 27th. Stella pawned my mother's ring, the ring she stole off my finger during Christmas Eve service, for $900. Then, on December 28th, she bought it back for $1,200 because she realized people might ask questions." Adrian picked up the receipts. His face went white. "This is her signature," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "Yes." "She told me it was a family piece, that you'd wanted her to have it." "She lied." He stared at the receipts for a long time. Then he looked up at me, and I saw something break behind his eyes. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you're about to marry her in June, and you deserve to know who you're marrying." "Does she know you have these?" "Not yet." Adrian set the receipts down carefully like they might explode. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to call her, right now. Ask her where she got the ring. Don't tell her I'm here, just ask." He stared at me. Then he pulled out his phone. He dialed, put it on speaker. It rang 3 times before Stella answered, her voice bright and cheerful. "Hey, babe, what's up?" "Hey, quick question. Where'd you get that gold ring you've been wearing? The one with the 3 diamonds?" There was a pause, just half a second too long. "I told you, it's from Uncle Will's side, a family heirloom. He gave it to me for Christmas, remember?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "He gave it to you?" "Yeah. Why?" "And you didn't pawn it on December 27th at Riley's estate buyers?" Silence. Then, "Who told you that?" "So you did." "Adrian, I can explain." "Why is there a receipt with your name and signature saying you sold it for $900 and bought it back the next day?" "It's not. It's complicated. Is Uncle Will sitting across from you right now?" Her voice cracked. "Did he show you something?" Adrian looked at me. I nodded. "Yeah," Adrian said. "He is. And he has the receipts, Stella. Both of them." The line went dead. Adrian set his phone down on the table. His hands were shaking. "I'm supposed to marry her in 5 months," he said. "Not anymore," I replied. He looked at me with something between anger and gratitude. "You could have just told me. Why the whole setup?" "Because I needed you to hear her lie. I needed you to know it wasn't just about the ring. It's about who she is when she thinks no one's watching." Adrian stood up, threw 2 20s on the table even though we hadn't eaten. "I need to go." "I understand." He started to walk away, then turned back. "Mr. Brennan, I'm sorry. About the ring. About all of it." "It's not your fault," I said. He left. I sat there for another 20 minutes, drinking cold coffee, watching cars pass by on the street outside. My phone buzzed. A text from Stella. "Uncle Will, please, can we talk?" I didn't respond. Not yet. She showed up at my door at 10:17 p.m. on January 6th. I was sitting in the living room, lights off, just the glow from the television playing some old western I wasn't really watching. I heard the car pull up outside, engine idling for a minute before shutting off. Then footsteps on the porch. Hesitant. Slow. The knock was soft, almost apologetic. I sat there for a moment, considering not answering. But I'd been waiting for this. In a way, this was always how it had to end. I opened the door. Stella stood there in the porch light, mascara streaked down her face, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sweatpants and an oversized coat. She looked smaller than I remembered. Younger. She'd been crying for hours. I could tell by the puffiness around her eyes, the way her hands shook as she clutched her phone. "Uncle Will," she whispered. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. She walked past me into the living room. The same room where she used to play as a little girl when my brother would bring her over for Sunday dinners. Back when things were simpler. Back when I thought I knew who she was. "Sit," I said. She sat on the edge of the couch, hands folded in her lap, staring at the floor. I turned off the television and sat in the armchair across from her. We stayed like that for a long moment, just the sound of the old house settling, the furnace kicking on. "Adrian broke up with me," she finally said, voice cracking. "He won't answer my calls. His parents won't talk to me. The wedding venue just called and said they're canceling our deposit." I didn't respond. "I'm so sorry," she continued, tears spilling over. "Uncle Will, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. I needed money. Adrian's family expects things. Dinners at expensive restaurants, trips to the Hamptons, designer clothes. I was drowning, trying to keep up, and I saw the ring, and I thought—" She stopped, choking on the words. "I thought you wouldn't notice. I thought I'd pawn it, get through Christmas, buy it back, and you'd never know." "But I did know," I said quietly. "I know. God, I know." She wiped at her face with her sleeve. "And then when Adrian asked about it, I panicked. I told him you gave it to me. I told everyone you gave it to me. And then I couldn't take it back because the lie was already out there. You could have told the truth at any point." "I know." Her voice was barely audible now. I was scared. I was ashamed. And every day it got worse because I kept wearing it, kept posting it, kept pretending it was mine. It felt like I was in too deep to turn around. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. "Stella, that ring survived a world war. It survived my grandfather's death, my grandmother's grief, 70 years of family history. My mother wore it every single day of her life. She gave it to me on her deathbed and made me promise it would stay in the family. And you pawned it for $900 to impress a man whose family you don't even like." She sobbed, deep, body-shaking sobs that filled the room. I let her cry. Didn't comfort her, didn't reach out, just sat there and watched her fall apart. When she finally caught her breath, she looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. "What are you going to do? Are you pressing charges? I'll go to jail, won't I? Insurance fraud. Theft." I looked it up. I could go to jail. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring, set it on the coffee table between us. "Give me one reason why I shouldn't." She stared at the ring like it was a live grenade. "Because I'm family? You stopped being family when you stole from me." "Then I don't have a reason." She buried her face in her hands. "I don't have a reason, Uncle Will. I deserve whatever you do to me." I picked up the ring and slid it back onto my finger. It felt heavier now, like it carried the weight of everything that had happened. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "Tomorrow morning, you're going to call the insurance company. You're going to tell them you found the ring, that it had fallen into your coat pocket during the service, and you just discovered it. You're going to apologize for the confusion and ask them to close the claim." She looked up, confused. "That's it?" "No. You're also going to pay me back the $900 you got from Riley's. Not because I need the money, but because you need to feel what it costs to steal from family." "Okay, yes, I'll do that. I'll do all of it. And one more thing." I leaned back in the chair. "You're going to get help. Therapy. Real therapy. Because this isn't about a ring, Stella. This is about you building a life on lies and other people's expectations. And if you don't fix that now, you'll do this again. To someone else, in some other way." She nodded, tears still streaming. "Thank you. God, Uncle Will, thank you." "Don't thank me," I said, "because if you ever steal from me again, if you ever lie to me again, I will press charges. I will testify. And I will make sure everyone knows exactly who you are. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Then go home, make the call tomorrow, and start fixing your life." She stood up slowly, unsteadily, like she'd aged 10 years in one night. She walked to the door, then turned back. "Uncle Will, I really am sorry." "I know you are," I said. "Now prove it." She left. I sat in the dark for a long time after that, looking at the ring on my finger, thinking about my mother, about promises, about what it means to be merciful when you have every right to be cruel. 3 months passed. Stella called the insurance company on January 7th. I listened on speaker as she confessed everything, or at least a version of everything that wouldn't land her in jail. They weren't happy, but they closed the claim. No charges filed, no investigation. She paid me back in installments. $50 a week, every week, delivered in person. She'd show up at my door with an envelope, hand it over without a word, and leave. I never invited her in. We never spoke beyond "thank you" and "you're welcome." By March, she'd paid the full amount. The wedding, obviously, didn't happen. Adrian moved on. I heard through family gossip that he'd started dating someone else, a lawyer from his firm. Stella moved out of their shared apartment and into a smaller place across town. Got a second job waitressing on weekends. Started seeing a therapist twice a week. I know because my daughter Leah told me. Leah had always been close with Stella, and despite everything, she'd stayed in touch. "Dad, I think she's really trying," Leah said during one of our phone calls. "She's different, quieter, more honest." "Good," I said. In April, I received a letter. Handwritten, Stella's handwriting. "Uncle Will, I've been working with Dr. Nora." Yes, same name as Aunt Nora. The universe has a sense of humor. "She asked me to write you a letter. Not to apologize again, you've heard that enough, but to tell you what I've learned. I spent my whole 20s trying to be someone I'm not, trying to fit into Adrian's world, his family's expectations, a life I thought I was supposed to want. I forgot where I came from. I forgot what actually matters. And when I saw that ring on your finger during carols, I didn't see Grandma Eleanor's legacy. I saw $900 that would solve my immediate problem. That's the thing about desperation. It makes you blind. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know that might take years. Maybe it'll never come. But I want you to know that losing you, losing Adrian, losing the life I thought I was building, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to ask, who am I when I'm not performing for someone else? I'm figuring that out now. It's hard, it's humbling, but it's real. Thank you for not destroying me when you could have. You taught me more about integrity in one night than anyone ever has. With love and respect, Stella. I folded the letter and put it in my desk drawer, right next to the pawn shop receipts. Last week, Stella called and asked if she could take me to lunch. Just lunch. No agenda. We met at a small diner downtown. We talked about her job, her therapy, her plans to go back to school. We talked about my son Ryan, who'd recently called for the first time in over a year. We even laughed once or twice. When the check came, she reached for it. "Stella," I said, "I've got it." "No," she said firmly. "Let me, please." So I did. As we walked out into the spring sunshine, she turned to me. "Uncle Will, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why did you give me a second chance?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. Saw my brother in her eyes. Saw my mother's stubbornness in her jaw. Saw a young woman trying to rebuild herself from wreckage. "Because my mother would have," I said. "And because mercy isn't weakness. It's a choice. Every single day." She nodded, blinking back tears. "Plus," I added with a small smile, "your family. And this ring, I held up my hand, letting the diamonds catch the light. It stays in the family. That was always the promise. We walked to our cars in comfortable silence. I wear the ring every day. It sits on my right hand where it belongs. And when people ask about it, I tell them the truth. It belonged to my grandmother. My mother gave it to me. And it's a reminder that some things are worth fighting for, even when the fight is quiet, even when the victory is forgiveness instead of vengeance. Some endings aren't neat. They're just real. And sometimes that's enough. This is it. The end of William's story. The end of Stella's betrayal. The end of a 73-year-old man's quiet, calculated revenge that turned into something none of us expected. Redemption. But this isn't just William's story anymore. This is your story now. Because every single one of you watching this has been betrayed. By family, by friends, by people you trusted, and you've had to make the same choice William made. Destroy them, or give them a chance to rebuild. So here's what I need from you. 1. Subscribe. If this story moved you, if it made you think differently about revenge and forgiveness, hit that subscribe button, because I have dozens more stories like this. Real people, real betrayals, real redemption. 2. Like this video. Show the algorithm that stories about human dignity and second chances matter more than clickbait drama. 3. Comment your story. Tell me, have you ever been stolen from by family? Did you forgive them? Or did you walk away? This comment section is now a space for truth. Share your story. You're not alone. 4. Share this. Send this to someone who needs to hear that mercy isn't weakness, that patience wins, that sometimes the greatest revenge is watching someone become better. And here's the big question I want you to answer in the comments. If you were William, would you have had lunch with Stella? Or would the ring be the only thing you ever gave her again? I'll be reading every single comment. See you in the next story. Grandpa Will, subscribe now.